Welcome to the Polysite Podcast. This is your host, Anthony Lindsay.
And Stephanie Moreno.
We're here with Mohamad Maarouf. And Stephanie has some questions for him.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. So my first question is, we wanted to check in and see how the community surrounding Kipp, Houston is coping and recovering from Hurricane Harvey.
Well, I'm happy to say that the community certainly came together, and it was just like a beautiful time to kind of see everybody connect and support each other through such a hard time. I mean, we're certainly still healing, and there's still a lot that needs to get done. But we are like back in schools doing the great work that we've always done. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
I know a lot of times after a hurricane, it's not just the like the financial loss or just the devastation of losing some of your stuff, but it's like you feel a little more like vulnerable as a community. I know in Louisiana especially, and even in Puerto Rico as well. Like when they got hit, it was like the community took a shot, and it was like, oh, we're not safe here anymore. You know, as a matter of fact, public opinion a lot of times changes on like climate change, and it changes on even what political party people vote for. If the hurricane is big enough, like you'd have a solid red state turn blue if the Republicans in party don't handle it well enough. You know?
Right. Yeah, there's certainly been. I think things that you wouldn't even know were impacted, right? Like just the other day it was raining, just a typical rainy day, and I could just like feel certain emotions, right? Like that I hadn't experienced before, and so I know that like with families who lost things or who haven't been supported through all of this, like it's got to be a really tough thing to bounce back from. So. Like I said, there's a lot that still needs to be done. And it's great to be a part of the Kipp Houston community where there's just so much support and so many people there to lend a helping hand.
It's really good to hear. So what is the atmosphere like on a regular basis regarding cultural and racial equality there at the high school? Have you noticed a change, be it positive or negative, among the students and staff since the storm hit and after?
Yeah, I think there's certainly been a positive shift. So immediately after the hurricane hit, there was like a rally of support, and within like 2-3 days, our staff had contacted every student in our school at least twice. We were already starting to collect donations. We collected furniture, food, just so much that happened immediately, and is still continuing to happen right now. And so what that has caused, right, is like an obvious positive shift in our campus culture, in the sense that like we talk a lot about team and family at Kipp, and this was a very apparent moment where like that proved we truly live these values, right? And so it's been a very, very positive space. Mm-hmm. I will say there's just emotional trauma still there, right? And so maybe certain things that don't, kind of like the rain example that I gave, right? Like certain things that usually wouldn't impact you are impacting us now. Mm-hmm. And so that's just hard to navigate. But overall, a huge positive shift in our culture.
Do you feel that the government has responded adequately to the needs of your school and the community?
I'll speak on specifically just kind of the support that we've received at my school. Like it's been a beautiful amount of support, from like all aspects, from just a lot of different avenues. I'm not really, I won't speak beyond just kind of like the support that our community has gotten, like Kipp Houston High School specifically. It's just been a really great amount of support from all aspects.
Totally fair.
So switching gears a bit, speaking specifically about your school, how do you see education in general transforming? I know that when I was in school, like we were taught how to do math and how to do social studies in a specific way. Like we were taught to a test, and it was like fill in the blank. Like that was exactly how we did it. Versus like when my parents went to school, it was completely different. And the children we have in school now, they are bringing home, math specifically, that is completely different from the way we learn how to do it. So Like, how is education changing, like, over time?
Like some of the things that we're doing at our campus that I think highlight the way things are changing. One, we have a project-based learning pilot that we're running at our campus, right? So that's just very much project-driven learning. It's centered on, it goes beyond just kind of like the textbook, like you're mentioning, right? It's just about how do we apply the things that we're learning cross curriculum, and make sure that it's applicable to our students. The other thing that stands out, there's a lot of discovery-based learning happening at our campus, right? So we understand that like students truly grasp the content if they, one, are able to discover it themselves, but then also able to apply it to the lives that they lead. So we're ensuring that it's just kind of relevant to their everyday lives is something that drives the work that we do. So those are some big shifts, like, again, specifically just are students able to discover it just on their own? Do they have the opportunity to do that? And then how do we get them to apply it to their daily lives? And if we can do that, like that's a huge success.
So I've heard of a few magnet schools also doing project-based learning, and a lot of private schools are switching to that as well. And my little brother actually goes to a magnet school where they have project-based learning as well. And speaking about project-based learning, like, do you feel that's a better avenue than, say, teaching to a test?
Yeah, so I mean, I certainly don't like advocate for teaching to a test at all. I think like if there's great teaching and more of it, like our students will be successful on the exams, right? And so if we like teach them the skills that are necessary to be successful, they'll be successful on those exams. I think project-based learning is a great way to do that, right? Like it's a very skill-based instructional method that allows students not only just kind of learn the content, but also just like figure out how to apply the skills that they're learning to different situations. And so while I don't necessarily think like project-based learning is the only way, I do think it is a great way to kind of just expose students to taking the skills that they've learned and applying them to other scenarios, other content areas, and then to be successful on the exams that they're taking.
Kind of a general question. What you started out your career as a teacher, like in the classrooms, and then you transitioned out into administrative position. Like, what made you decide to make that transition? And also, like, what is, as an administrator right now, what is the most important thing that occupies your mind right now for your school?
So what caused me to transition is I always think of just kind of like the role that I have in terms of my, how can I say it, like my sphere of influence versus my sphere of comfort. Okay. And so whenever I'm uncomfortable and whenever I can no longer influence the things I'm uncomfortable with, I think it's time for me to like take a step in a direction where I can have that impact, right? And so, when I took an administrative role, there were like whole school decisions that I wanted to impact and that I wanted to influence, and I wanted to be a part of that decision-making process. And so that's a big part of why I took the step out of the classroom. Mm-hmm. As far as like what is the biggest, most important thing that I'm dealing with right now, I think it's just, I would have to say race and equity, right? Like the reality is that our students they live in a world where they're like oppressed by many of the systems and structures that are in place. And it is my belief that like it is my belief to like, one, recognize the systems and structures that I continue like to perpetuate if so, and alter them. And then two, to just kind of like work to help our students, be the voices at the table so that they can, and we can help disrupt those systems so that our world is more equitable.
That slides right into my next question. Basically, the education system is supposed to be like the great equalizer. So, what steps of your district or your school, or maybe what ideas do you have personally to take to prepare minorities for the rigors of undergraduate studies?
I mean, I think there's a lot of different things. I think it all boils down to, and this is something that we talk a lot about at Kipp, right? Like great teaching and more of it. Our students need Every student needs like great teachers, and they need somebody who cares deeply and passionately about them. So that's the very first thing. And I believe that in my school, our teachers care deeply and passionately about the students that walk through the door every day. So it's like a beautiful thing to be able to say. Our education needs to go beyond just content and more so deliver the skills, ensure that our students feel empowered to be a voice. And so some of the ways that we do that, for example, at my campus is like creating spaces for voice for students. So our students have held town halls. We have an honor council where they play a role in school decisions that we make, or even like discipline issues that happen on our campus. That's one avenue. We also have a student government, where, they play a big role in a lot of the student activities and the student events that take place. There's opportunities for students to submit surveys about like what they're feeling as far as the school goes and different changes that they want. So there's just like we try and think of like a lot of different ways to empower our students to have voice on our campus, and then hopefully teach them the skills to take that beyond the campus level.
So if we gave you an unlimited budget for your school, like we have a $2 trillion experiment that we're willing to do. Like what would you implement in your school and why?
Wow. That's a tough question. I think I would pay teachers more. That's like one thing that I would do. I think our teachers work extremely hard day in and day out. I think I would, this is tough. There's so many decisions that I would make with that.
That's kind of good to hear, actually. Mm-hmm. You got a lot, because something would happen if it dropped in your lap. You get started.
Yeah. I think I would just. There's so many different things, right? Like it goes from resources, it goes to like simple things like computers, right? To calculators, like those kinds of resources, and then you also have these like larger decisions where I would love to have more counselors at my school, right? More college counselors, more social emotional learning, the ability to like provide anger management courses, like all these things that a budget doesn't afford for right now. I would just make a lot of different shifts, and I think a lot of it would be there to like support the well-being of our students ultimately. So
that's awesome.
That's totally fair. There's so there was a studies link that showed that the performance of the student was very closely associated with the education level of the teacher. So I'd imagine that with an unlimited budget in your school offering a ridiculous teacher compensation package, that you would attract at least a few PhDs, which would be linked to very high test scores. So, if we incentivize teachers to pursue a career in, say, high schools or even elementary schools, then it would be a game changer. So for me, I want to be a teacher, and I really wouldn't mind teaching high school. But if the salary isn't over $100K, it's like, what are we talking about? Like, should I really study for 6 years at like a T14 school and then make a teacher's salary? Versus like if you had a magnet school that was just trying something new and said, hey, we're going to have less teachers, the class size is going to be 600 deep. But
yeah, I don't think you're the only one to think that way, which is why like I'm actually happy to hear that you, Mohamad, you've got a staff full of teachers who are like passionate about what they do. It's not for the salary, it's not for the prestige. They do it for the They do it for the kids every single day. No offense, Anthony. Mm-hmm. I understand you got to make your living. Yeah. But it's already a well understood fact that a lot of teachers in America in the high school or K-12 range, they don't make enough, not for what they do every single day. And
right.
But at the same time, to hear that you've got a school full of teachers who, like, regardless of that, they're there to do a job, not just do a job, but to impact these kids' lives, and that makes a huge. That's wonderful to hear as a mother, personally.
Yeah, it's certainly humbling. It's just amazing to like be in that space. A lot of people ask me like, what keeps me at Kipp High School, and I've got to say it's just like. It's the community, it's the love for the work, it's the students, and just I mean, the relationships that like we're able to build with families, and I mean, that's what keeps me there, and like to see that emit from all of our staff members is like you said, just awesome.
All right, this is the Poly Psych Podcast. This is your host, Anthony Lindsay.
And Stephanie Moreno.
Later.